Hello, and thank you so much for joining me on the Community Ledger. It looks like the ladies from The View are upset that the journalists over at the Morning Joe actually met with Trump. Can you believe that they are upset that someone decided to be an adult? But nonetheless, let's go ahead and look at the video so we can see what they're now complaining about.
On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested.
So now let's see what the ladies at The View have to say about it.
Probably looking at what Joe and Mika did and find it opportunistic. There are people who change their stripes, or maybe their spots, I should say today, depending on who is in power and what benefits them. I don't know that that's what they are doing. And to me, it's a to-be-determined situation because right now it's the transition. We don't know what he's going to do as president. We don't know what they're going to do if he commits abuses of power as president. So, you know, everybody has to live with their decision. Everybody has to look at themselves in the mirror. I'm good.
The bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists. But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news.
So there you have it. You see the hypocrisy continues, the rhetoric continues. They're actually upset because these two journalists decided to go sit down with Trump. I mean, to me, it is logical and mature, you know. and Sonny Hostin is stating that right now our country needs free, unfiltered truth, or a media outlet that gives free and unfiltered truth. That's social media. That is social media. I think there has been a resounding consensus that mainstream media is dead. Social media is the one that we're the only ones giving you the real, okay? Straight, no chaser, right? Everybody else, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, been pushing all this propaganda, and it backfired. Not only did the Democrats lose, but you see all these legacy media platforms are losing ratings. They're even talking about swapping around the hosts at The View because there's only one sentiment. There's only one view, and that's the Democratic view. Like, there is no other voice on there. And so I just think it's ridiculous. Like, Sonny is just a mess. And, you know, it's interesting because last week I was looking at, you know, all of these articles that came out about specifically MSNBC and how Joy Reid's ratings are pretty much tanking, that she's down like 54.6%. And, you know, right before that news article came out, I was literally like, why is she still on the air? How is she still on the air? Like, I don't understand who she resonates with. And then literally like an hour after that, I saw all type of stuff on social media where her ratings have tanked, and then she announced that she was leaving, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, okay. So what I was feeling, others have been feeling too. And it shows because, like I said, the ratings have dropped. CNN's ratings are even doing worse than MSNBC. You know, they're talking about getting rid of a lot of their hosts that they're paying millions and millions of dollars, and they're not even getting nowhere near the views that will require these type of journalists to make that kind of money. And I personally feel like Sunny Hostin is the same. Now, they may want to keep her because she's controversial, but she's completely disillusioned with the world. And I for the life of me, I don't understand it. And just hearing their sentiments brings me, it brings me to the scripture. Let me see if I can find it here, because it's so fitting for this political landscape. It is a scripture that says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things. To me, that is the sentiment of exactly what these two journalists did. Like, they may not like Trump, they may not like his views, they may not like his delivery. However, as adults, we can sit down and have a conversation. And you saw in the clip, they said, you know, there's a lot of things that we don't agree with. But at the same time, he's about to be the president of your country. So not saying his name and avoiding him like the plague, not really going to solve anything. Especially if you're a journalist. You are going to have to talk about this man. Period. Like, whether you want to or not, you can literally decide, okay, we're just never going to say anything about Trump for the next 4 years and continue to see your ratings tank. So why are we going to continue to foster this childlike behavior and refuse to hold any sort of real conversation with the man, regardless of what you do and don't like? And the truth of the matter is, every strong relationship, whether it be business, whether it be a marriage, whether it's family, no matter what the scenario is, when it's multiple people involved, the best course of action in terms of finding some sort of level ground is communication. Is to be able to sit in a room like adults and say, listen, I didn't necessarily like how you handled this, but I can respect that. We're not really fans of how you're going about this. Would you mind looking at that? You know what I'm saying? This is the art of diplomacy, okay? And clearly, none of these women on here have been able to or are able to rationalize how that works. Like, you need this. This is how this man has already been able to have a conversation with the president of Ukraine and try to end the war in Ukraine. Like, how do you expect someone to lead a nation? How do you expect someone to be able to perform peace treaties and negotiations with other world leaders if you can't hold a conversation? So they come out with this holier than thou sentiment, like they're so much better, they're so much more intelligent, they're so much more educated, but yet can't see the logic behind why a journalist would want to sit down with a president-elect and just simply hold a conversation. Don't get it, but for whatever reason, I guess there are millions of viewers who continue to tune in and watch them. What they gain, I don't know. But I know they better get it together because their ratings are not doing well. And if they want to appeal to the masses, they're going to have to change it up a bit. And so I also want to play something for you, or actually I want to read something for you. But nonetheless, I wanted to read this article in regards to the backlash, which is insane. It says, The View, Alyssa Farah Griffin hit with dead silence after backing Morning Joe host Trump meeting. So people, dead silence, because she supported them actually meeting with Trump. So it says Alyssa Farah Griffin was met with a hard silence on Monday's episode of The View after she expressed her opinion that good people should work for and interview Donald Trump in his second term. The moment came during the first hot topic of the day, in which the women discussed their thoughts on Morning Joe host Mika, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name, and Joe Scarborough, revealing that they met with Trump for 90 minutes and plan to restart communications with him. Now, they both said they haven't spoken to him for since 2020. So they want to continue to, I guess, build communication with him. For Farah Griffin, as well as fellow co-host Sarah Haynes, the discussion or the decision to meet was the right one, with the former noting she'd probably have done the same. I would sit down with Donald Trump. I would interview Donald Trump. And I'll go a step further. I hope good people work with him, Farah Griffin said. We need to stop demonizing people because they support a man who just became president of the United States. We should hope good people are around him and smart journalists are challenging him. As she finished, though, she was met with total silence from the crowd, while Ana Navarro immediately jumped into response with a pointed, well, that particular delivery earned a laugh from the crowd. I absolutely think it was the right decision, Haynes then said, and I think it's good that they work on MSNBC. I don't want only Fox people going to see him. Again, adults. Again, I heard a friend once say somebody has to decide to be the adult, no matter how many children we foster along the way. Like, at some point, somebody's going to have to be an adult. Okay? Like, you cannot like the person. How do you think the rest of the world was going to react if Harris won? Like, there are millions and millions of people who were not fans of Kamala Harris, but they still had a job to do. Okay, they still have jobs to do. And just like there are tons of people who don't like Trump, they still have a job to do. And their job is to convey information to the public, whether they like it or not. Hell, it's already going to be slanted and opinion based. So at the bare minimum, just give us a baseline of exactly what the hell's going on. If you can't even do that, you shouldn't even be on the air. And so it's like, Ms. Navarro, as well as Sonny Hostin, want these people to just say, okay, we hate Trump, and continue on that we hate Trump train for another 4 years. That's not going to work, honey. That's you already are seeing the ramifications of that. Like, that's not going to work. What part of that failed system are you not grasping? Like, I don't understand it. But luckily, they do have two voices of reason on that panel who can actually say, you know what, listen, this is ridiculous. You got to sit down and talk to the man. He actually has some good plans. We all have to be under this Trump administration, whether you like it or not. So we need to figure out what's going on and give a voice of reason wherever we can. You know, like I say, I continue to see people on social media talking about all this doom and gloom. And it's like, I don't understand why you're wishing all of that negativity on yourself. Like, if he's putting us in concentration camps, he's not going to separate us and say, okay, well, who voted for Trump? Who voted for Kamala? Okay, the people who voted for Kamala, y'all free and clear. The people who voted for Trump, we're going to go ahead and exterminate y'all. That's not how that's going to work. Okay, that's not how that's going to work. If he takes away people's Social Security, if he takes away or shuts down the Board of Education, that's going to affect everybody. So why are you wishing all of this ill will? Because whatever comes down the pike, it's going to affect you too, boo. So stop with all the rhetoric. Everybody should be hoping for the best at this point. Pray that this man has a lot of intelligent, good people around him in his administration that can make some real decisions with regards to this economy, some real decisions with regards to this deportation. I'm also seeing that a lot of mayors in Democratic cities are wanting to stand in the way of deportation, which for the life of me, I can't understand, because the man has already stated on multiple occasions, specifically with the new border czar, Tom Homan, that they're going to specifically target criminals. So why, as a mayor of any city, specifically the mayor of Chicago, why would you say you're going to stand in front of that? You actually want more criminals in your city? You actually want gangs causing chaos on the streets of Chicago more than there already is? Like, I don't understand that. At no point did Trump or this new border czar say we're going to start sweeping up women and children. They have not said that. Now, will that happen? I don't know. It's yet to be seen, but their biggest priority and their main focus is to get rid of the criminals. Get rid of the men who are causing harm, who have already been convicted of heinous crimes out of this country. Those are the ones that they want to deport first. And there are hundreds of thousands. That is going to be an incredible undertaking alone. And that is where they are. But you have mayors who are like, no, we're creating a coalition so that we can stand in front of the Trump administration and refuse to allow anybody to be deported. Meanwhile, your citizens, your constituents who voted for Trump to handle that border, you're just going to completely ignore their needs, completely ignore their wants. So to me, it means then you're not that bright, because you do come up for re-election. You know that, right? Eventually, it will be time for you to be reelected. And if you take a look at what's happened in California, you might want to get in line, okay? Because in California, they ain't playing. They done booted out a whole bunch of those career politicians. And if I was Gavin Newsom, I would start clutching my pearls, because what he just did in regards to the Black Caucus and reparations, and then black folks is upset out in California. The bulk of that state turned red, which is like unheard of. Bulks, huge demographics in New Jersey and New York who have never turned red are leaning red and turning purple, and it's getting crazy. So it's like, listen, people are tired of the chaos. They are tired of the crazy, and you can't just continue to ignore the citizens. You can't ignore the people in your community and think that you're going to continue to have a career. And the people came out this election season and showed out. They let it be known. You can label me a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. I don't care what you label me, but I'm going to get all of these folks up out of here. Okay? If you're not working for us anymore, we need to get you up out of here. And I'm here for it. And so again, like I've said in multiple videos, mainstream media, legacy media is going to have to change course. You know, that whole Trump is Hitler, Trump is a fascist, fear Trump propaganda that they have propped their channels up and their news streams up for so long has failed them. It failed in 2016 and it failed in 2024. And social media is leading the charge in regards to ratings and giving the truth. And so, you know, I don't know what truth Sunny Hostin thinks she's conveying, but the folks ain't listening, okay? And the fact that Fox News, their ratings have gone up by like 50-60% compared to all those other networks means that people are tired of it. They just want to hear the news straight, no chaser. They don't want to hear your opinion. They don't want to hear about whether you like him and who he slept with and all this other nonsense. Just give me the news. I want to know what's going on the Hill. I want to know what's going on at the Pentagon. I want to know what's going on these wars abroad. They're tired of the crazy. And so that's why they leave and go watch social media. Now, it's great for people like me. I will definitely say I appreciate it. So mainstream media is just going to have to start to get with the program. They're going to have to get on course with all of the other with all of the Americans that voted for Trump and have to support that leg. Listen, we don't like him. We don't think he's going to be a great option, but he's going to be the president. We need to get on board. We need to do what we need to do so that we are aware of what's happening and notify the people so that we can stay abreast and just keep it moving. They just have to put their feelings aside because it's just part of the job. It's just part of the job. Everybody has had a job and the manager did something or a coworker did something that they didn't like, but you just got to ignore it and keep it moving because it's part of the job. And so, you know, what say you? What's your opinion with the new meltdown coming from The View and how, for whatever reason, these women just cannot shake their disdain for Trump and cannot get over the fact that they lost. I mean, that election was on the 5th of November. It is what? The 18th. It's time to let it go now, okay? It's time to let it go. Move on, okay? As soon as he's sworn in, this is what it is. So again, thank you so much for joining me and spending time with me. I love indulging in these conversations with you and going over all the chaos and the drama that is within this current administration and all the exciting changes coming with the president-elect. So again, my name is Drea Banu, and this is the Community Ledger.